All right, the NFL news keeps on rolling in. The 49ers have officially tendered Jauan Jennings. This should not surprise anybody. It is the logical next step in the negotiation process with the 49er receiver who is set to be a restricted free agent. The 49ers have only one restricted free agent this season, and it is Jauan Jennings, and I'll explain how the tender process works. It's a one-year offer for $4.9 million. It is a second round tender. The 49ers could have also given Jauan Jennings a first round tender or an original round tender or just a right of first refusal tender. But they figured that the second round tender would be just right in this situation. So what happens now is that Jauan Jennings will have the opportunity to negotiate with other teams. If another team offers Jauan Jennings more money, he can go and sign with that other team, but only if the 49ers let him sign with that other team. The 49ers will own the right of first refusal. So say that the New York Giants offered Jauan Jennings $7 million. The 49ers would have an opportunity to match that offer sheet from the New York Giants. If the 49ers said, no, we don't want to match it, you can have Jauan Jennings, the 49ers would be owed a second round pick. So the 49ers have decided to place the type of tender on Jauan Jennings that they believe will protect him from being signed elsewhere unless they get really fair compensation in return. And given the fact that the 49ers used the seventh round pick to draft Jauan Jennings in 2020, I think they would come out on top if somebody else signed him away and they got a second round pick. But in all likelihood, Jennings will stay with the 49ers, who are still interested in signing him to a longer term deal that bypasses this tender process. This tender, this $4.9 million offer, though, sets a parameter for long-term negotiations. Jennings' agent is Drew Rosenhaus. So say that the 49ers offer Jennings 2 or 3 years. Well, they can say, hey, let's make the 2 or 3 years about $5 million in base value per year because the tender amount is there for $4.9 million. So it is a way for the 49ers to keep Jennings' contract affordable. They could have slapped the first round tender on him. That would have been more aggressive, but I don't think that Jauan Jennings not being a featured receiver, I don't think that would have made all that much sense. The first round tender would have cost about $6.9 or $7 million, and it would have given the 49ers a first rounder in return in case they did not retain Jauan Jennings in the restricted free agent process. It's essentially like an non-exclusive franchise tag, except much cheaper. The player has a chance to go discuss with other teams, see what his value might be with other teams, and the 49ers then can match that. So the market can set Jauan Jennings' price, and the 49ers are also insulated from the danger of losing Jauan Jennings by the fact that they can get a second round pick in return in case he does leave. So more likely than not, Jauan Jennings is going to be a 49er next year. I think the main question is, can they negotiate a long-term deal with him that bypasses this entire tender process? The tender is merely the act of the 49ers extending the contract offer to Jauan Jennings. He now would have to sign the tender to become a member of the 49ers next season. That hasn't happened yet because Jauan Jennings has every right to explore the market to see if maybe his price can get jacked up a little bit. Right now, the offer is for $4.9 million. We all know how important Jauan Jennings is to the San Francisco 49ers. Awesome on third down, awesome blocker. Well, I saw the 49ers brought in Jauan Jennings for a visit today. That was a safety who got kicked out of the game against Jacksonville in 2021 because Jauan Jennings goaded a punch out of him. I mean, Jauan Jennings, with how hard he blocks, I still remember pushing. Was it against the Packers? I think it was against the Packers where he pushed a defender all the way into the bench. I mean, he blocks so hard. He's a throwback. He's exactly what the 49ers want at that third receiver position. Hell, he was a high school quarterback, and he started as a college quarterback at Tennessee, and we saw some of that arm talent in the Super Bowl when he threw the touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey. I think bottom line is that Jauan Jennings is a player who you want on your football team. And the 49ers are going to make sure that they set themselves up well to retain Jauan Jennings. And the first step in that process was today with the second round tender offered to Jauan Jennings at $4.9 million. We have other news in the NFL. There's been a massive trade for Brian Burns, the edge rusher formerly of the Carolina Panthers. He is now headed to the New York Giants. And, you know, I've got to put this up on the screen because I have some jokes. There's some funny stuff going on. Brian Burns is obviously a great edge rusher. I'm not implying that he's not, but I just find it really funny that there's many 49ers fans who have undergone a whole meltdown because the 49ers dared to sign Leonard Floyd. And they think that Leonard Floyd is a bad player for some reason, and they think somebody like Brian Burns would be the next god for the 49ers in the edge rushing position. Well, over the past 4 seasons, Leonard Floyd has 39 and a half sacks. Brian Burns is 38 and a half sacks. Leonard Floyd has more sacks than Brian Burns over the course of the past 4 seasons. A lot of people who are complaining about the Leonard Floyd signing are the ones that think that sacks are the end-all be-all. So I just thought that I would dish it right back at them. Sacks obviously aren't the end-all be-all. Burns is younger than Leonard Floyd. I get it. Burns is a higher potential ad, a higher ceiling ad than Leonard Floyd. But the point is the 49ers are paying $10 million annually for Leonard Floyd, and Brian Burns, if you see her at the bottom, is costing the New York Giants, his new team, is costing them $30 million a year. There's only one defender on the edge that's making more per year than Brian Burns, and that's Nick Bosa at $34 million. So, and it also cost the acquiring team a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick. So this was extremely expensive. And no, the 49ers were never going to be in the Brian Burns sweepstakes at this cost, not at $30 million and 2 draft picks. They already paid Nick Bosa last year. What the 49ers needed to do is find cost efficiency at the other edge rushing spot. And the 49ers did indeed find cost efficiency at the other edge rushing spot by netting Leonard Floyd for $10 million per year. 2 years, $20 to $24 million for Leonard Floyd. That is a value deal for the 49ers, and it's hard to find, impossible to find anybody who's speaking about this objectively that would say otherwise. We've got another update here. This is from Mike. The NFL has updated the compensatory picks for this year's draft after recalculating the formula, but the 49ers did not end up with a 2nd, 3rd round selection. Instead, the Bengals have pick number 97, and the 3rd round comp pick that San Francisco sends to Washington is number 100 instead of number 99. So there was some talk that the 49ers might have gotten the short end of the stick in the compensatory formula the other day, that they might have deserved another 3rd round pick. The NFL updated the picks after recalculation, but the 49ers actually dropped in pick order from number 99 to number 100. That pick heads to Washington anyway in return for Chase Young. So the 49ers did not get helped in that process. Doesn't seem to be major news, but I think that some 49ers fans will find a reason to be upset about it. One thing that seems fairly neutral is the RFA tender to Jauan Jennings. Hopefully I explained it well. Jennings likely will stay aboard with the 49ers, but that process still must be finalized. I'm going to open this up to a few questions. News starting to really roll in today. So why don't we open this up to a 49ers Q&A. How's everybody doing? Ready for questions. I don't see many questions in here. The 49ers, too, you know, as we sit here, I still remember last year in free agency to today was the day that they picked up Javon Hargrave. They've been the most aggressive spenders in football over the course of, the past, now we can say 7 years under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They've got the biggest salary cap this year thanks to the restructuring and the carryover that they made. They're at $296.6 million. So the 49ers have done a lot of splurging, which is one of the main reasons why they have the robust roster that's really top heavy with superstars that they currently have. you've got to be able to fill in the spots at the margins. And one of the margins is who is the rusher opposite of Nick Bosa. You don't have a good rusher opposite Nick Bosa, then it's going to compromise Bosa's effectiveness because somebody's got to be able to feast off of all the double teams that Bosa is getting because he's going to be facing a lot of single blocking. So I think that a Leonard Floyd signing, it's, he is at a key margin of the team. You haven't added another superstar because you already have a lot of superstars, but you have added a player who can play that complementary role, the Robin to Nick Bosa's Batman, really well. Another complementary role that you need on a football team is the third wide receiver role. And that's Jauan Jennings. That's somebody who the 49ers are trying to keep at a bargain rate. And that RFA tender rate of $4.9 million might be possible for the 49ers to retain Jauan Jennings. Wasn't Hargrave supposed to do what? Hargrave is a defensive tackle. Hargrave is not a defensive end. You've got your positions wrong, man. Leonard Floyd plays a different position than Jauan Hargrave. This is not stuff I should have to explain. Thought that I would explain complicated salary cap stuff, not guys playing completely different positions than people are acting like they play. I wouldn't like firmly rule out Danielle Hunter, but I would close to rule him out. I mean, Danielle Hunter is going to be a 20-something million dollar player, right? It's a completely different situation than when you look at somebody like Leonard Floyd, who's going to get you 10 sacks a year for a price of about 10 million. So you're looking at cost efficiency of the 49ers because you spend so much over the course of so many years. You're trying to fill multiple different spots while also paving the way for Brock Purdy to be paid next season. Has DJ Jones been released yet? I mean, he's still with Denver. I don't know if the 49ers can afford DJ Jones if he's playing for another team right now. So he's making about $10 million a year right now. I would assume that's around what the 49ers have wanted from Eric Armstead as far as a pay cut goes, going down from about 17.4 million to 10 million, but we will see. What about safety? Well, Jauan Jennings scheduled to visit the 49ers, I believe, today. He also visited the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, they've got Jair Brown. He's going to be a second-year guy. They really like him. Talanoa Hufanga is going to be coming off the ACL. It'll be important to gauge just how quickly he's moving. And I think even if they have Hufanga back at full speed and Jair Brown playing well in year two, they're going to want some depth at that position, which is why somebody as durable and reliable as Jauan Jennings would be a good ad for the 49ers. That's why they're looking into it. They're going to see if he meshed on the visit, and we'll see if they do pick him up. But safety depth is something that I do think is really, really important. And Tashawn Gibson's, 33 years old? So that's a question mark, his age, right? So I think the 49ers might want to get a little bit younger there. That's why they drafted Jair Brown. But you don't know about Talanoa Hufanga until he actually comes back. Azeez Al-Shire might be out of the 49ers price range, but I do think that they are in the market for an off-ball linebacker since you also don't know about Dre Greenlaw until he is able to come back. No, I don't think that Jauan Jennings can line up at tight end. I think that the tight end position is like Charlie Werner did for the 49ers. That's much more of an inline blocking position. That's a spot for a guy that's 230 or 240. Jauan Jennings is never going to be that heavy. He's going to be a very good blocking wide receiver. He runs great routes. Jennings separates. I get it. There is positional versatility with what the 49ers do, but he wouldn't line up as a tight end. There is not a 100% pure positional versatility like that. You still have some defined roles for players. And Jennings is great at what he does. I don't think that the 49ers would want to change that at all. Nothing new about the Eric Armstead situation. The 49ers, this is a question from Germany, from Nico. The 49ers wanted Eric Armstead to take a pay cut. He obviously hasn't agreed to that yet. He's still on the roster. So we're waiting to see if Eric Armstead remains on the roster. The 49ers can hold firm. This could just be a game of chicken that we're seeing right now between Eric Armstead and the 49ers. They can theoretically keep him if they want to, and he can play at that $17.4 million contract. Or, when we talk about a game of chicken, who blinks first, 49ers can say, hey, we'll release you. And if the market is not there for Eric Armstead, you might not want to risk he might want to risk a release. He might want to take the price that the 49ers are offering, or at least negotiate something that's acceptable to both sides. We don't know right now at this point. Armstead obviously wants to keep the money that was in his contract, but it's not guaranteed. The 49ers obviously want to get into a more cost-efficient situation. We'll see who budges first. Right now, nobody has budged yet. The 49ers haven't released Armstead, and we wait. No pay cut yet either for Eric Armstead. He hasn't accepted a pay cut. So last night, the reports were that this was trending toward a release, but the 49ers still do have a hole, and they have a need at defensive tackle. And Eric Armstead, when he's been healthy, has been a very good player for them there. So let's just wait and see. No problem to Germany. Doesn't look like we have too many more questions here, but I can go back to what I was talking about earlier. 49ers have tendered Jauan Jennings at the second round level. It's a $4.9 million offer for Jauan Jennings. They'll get a second round pick if he takes more money from someplace else. And the 49ers will also have a chance to match whatever anybody else offers. I think the 49ers don't want to lose Jauan Jennings. I think they're using this RFA tender process to set the market for Jauan Jennings. So if somebody wants to overpay him, according to what the 49ers think his value is, now the 49ers will have a chance to match that. And I do think he's very, very valuable for this football team with that second round tender. We've talked about Leonard Floyd bringing dependability for the 49ers. This is what I put up there a little bit earlier. He's got more sacks over the past 4 seasons than Brian Burns. Hashtag checkmate. That's sure funny. Brian Burns making $30 million a year now, and it cost 2 picks to acquire him. It's pretty staggering cost, but Brian Burns is a good, promising younger edge rusher, and those guys are really valuable in this league. Austin Eckler plans to sign a 2-year deal with the Washington Commanders. That's from Adam Schefter. So Adam Peters, the other Adam, is doing some work over in our nation's capital. And again, the compensatory pick formula has been updated, but the 49ers did not get an update on their 4th round selection. It did not turn into a 3rd round selection. In fact, they slid from 99 to 100. And that's the pick that's going to be headed to Washington and Adam Peters in exchange for Chase Young. Somebody was trying to say that the 49ers downgraded from Chase Young, even though Leonard Floyd has been better in every single statistical category. There's a lot of poor information, misinformation going around on Twitter. The 49ers have improved their second edge rushing spot. They've gotten way more reliability there. Leonard Floyd has played in 108 straight games, which is extremely important for the 49ers. And they're working right now, San Francisco, on retaining Jauan Jennings. So it started slowly, but the day has gotten a little busier as it has gone along. It's now 4 o'clock on the West Coast. So the tampering window has been open for about 7 hours. We're over 1,000 people in here. Do people actually have questions now? Now that we're over 1,000, I'm really happy to answer a few more questions. Leonard Floyd is good against the run. That's also really important. That length has been big with Leonard Floyd. Ready for more questions. Let's go. I think Joey Nichols always has good comments. I'm sad that I accidentally banned him one time. Still remember that for Joey Nichols. Floyd was better than Young last year, absolutely. And his motor is way better. Yes, Leonard Floyd is a really good motor. There's a reason why he's been associated with winning teams essentially everywhere that he's gone. He doesn't have the intriguing upside of Young, but he's more consistent. And the 49ers have been looking for a higher floor. That's more important than a higher ceiling opposite Nick Bosa. Bosa's got the floor and the ceiling on one side. The other side, you're looking for a top 30, top 25 edge rusher. But you're looking for somebody who could consistently deliver that. You don't want there to be effort issues. You want to know that that's going to get you those 8 to 10 sacks. It's going to get you the good run defense. That's what Leonard Floyd is all about for the 49ers. And it obviously does leave the door open for future signings because he's only costing the 49ers an average of $10 million per year. If we want to take a quick look at the roster before I'm out of here, we can. Just have so many windows open, but we'll take a look at the 49ers 2024 90-man depth chart. I don't know if I have Jauan Jennings. Yeah, I do have Jauan Jennings as a restricted free agent in there. I figured the 49ers would re-sign him. So Jennings is here. I've added Leonard Floyd into the mix. I can add new acquisition for Leonard Floyd. We can highlight him in teal. So there he is. The 49ers have added Leonard Floyd. They've got 60 players under contract. I am counting Jauan Jennings for the time being. All right. Good stuff. We will talk to you very soon. 49ers have made an addition today in Leonard Floyd, and they have tendered Jauan Jennings. Next piece of news, you'll hear from me again. Talk to you soon.